All right, now we're going to mix things up between major and minor. I can throw do, re, mi or do, re, me at you in any order. I'm always going to give you a do and then your first note. So now if I'm not starting on do, your job is to hear, does it sound like I'm playing the minor third, me, or the major third, mi? Just listening to them, we can kind of hear this backwards doorbell, this greeting, this warm, friendly sort of tone. And if you're not hearing it yet, eventually you will get there. Versus the more flattened third, me, which is going to sound a little bit more minor. Do, mi. So I'm starting on mi, do, me. So I'd be starting on me. It's going to take some time to get used to unless you're a total pro, but we're going to jump right into things. So 20 examples coming up. Here is your first do, and here's your first note. Already we're not starting on do, so here's do, here's your first note, starting on mi. Here's your first example. Right out the gate, we're going to start a little more complex on this one. Answer is mi, re, mi, do, re, mi. Here's your next do. Starting on do. Here's the example. It's going to sound like. One more time. So you don't know if it's major or minor upon hearing your first note. But as we go through the example, you might be able to hear our answer is do, me, re, do. So very minor sounding. We got our next do. Here's your do. Here's your first note. One more time. Here's do. Here's your first note. So you can probably tell it's not starting on do. Is it me? Is it me? We're starting on me this time. So we have that flattened third to start. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is me, re, do, re, me, do. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Starting on, in this case, mi. Here's the example. One more time. Answer is mi, mi, re, mi, re, do. Next example, starting on D, here's your do, and here's your first note. Starting on do. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is do, re, mi, do, re, mi, do, do, do. Back down to A as our do. So here's your do. Here's your first note. Starting on me. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is me, re, me, do, re, do. Here's your next do, starting on, in this case, do. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is do, do, re, mi, re, do. Here's your next do. Starting on, in this case, do. It's going to sound like this. One more time. So is it me or me? Where are we going here? We have, the answer is do, me, re, do. Me, re, do. Working our way down through the notes. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Starting on mi. Here's your pattern. One more time. Answer is mi, re, mi, do. Here's your next do. And here's your first note. Starting on do. So we have, one more time. Answer is do, re, mi, re, do, mi. Back down to A. Here's your do. Here's your first note. Starting on do. It's going to sound like this. One more time. This time I'm throwing some speed at you. Can you hear what's happening off the start? It's moving back and forth. The answer is do, re, do, mi. Next up, here's your do. Here's your first note. Sounds like may. Here's the example. One more time. Answer is may, re, do, re, may. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Starting on mi. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is mi, do, re, do. Here's your next do. Here's your first note. Where are we starting? May. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Ready for the answer? It's may, re, do, re, do. Here's your do. Here's your first note. Starting on do. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is do, mi, re, mi. Here's your next do. Starting on may. Here's the example. One more time. Does it sound finished or unfinished at the end? Our answer is may, do, re, re. It has this unresolved finish, like a good Sade melody finishing on the re. We're going to have B as our next do. So here's your do, here's your first note. Starting on mi. It's going to sound like this. One more time. Answer is mi, do, re. Two more to go. Here's your next do. Here's your starting note. Starting on do. It's going to sound like this. A bit longer now. Here it is. The answer is do, re, re. Again, finishing unresolved. We have one final do. Here it is. Here's your first note. Starting on mi. It's going to sound like this. Does it sound finished or unfinished? Let's check again. It sounds unfinished. The answer is mi, re, do, re. Finishing on re again. Next up, we're starting on D. Here's your do. Here's your first note. Where am I starting? Mi. It's going to sound like this. Again. Answer is mi, do, re, re. Do you hear it sounds kind of unfinished? But if you can hear that sort of unfinished sound at the end, then that's going to prep you for these next courses because I'm going to be doing more of these unresolved finishes. I wanted to keep things very simple, very preliminary at this stage to help you gain some confidence and some insight as to how all of this works. But as you dive through the courses deeper, I'm going to try to challenge you and I'm going to make things more difficult. After all, if you can get the difficult stuff, then the easy stuff becomes that much easier. There's your 20 examples, and I'll see you in the next class.